Ravi had always loved stories. As a child, he listened to old travelers who spoke of lost cities, golden temples, and rivers that whispered secrets at night. Now, as a grown man, he stood at the edge of a dense forest in a faraway land, chasing one of those stories. The air was heavy with the smell of earth and wet leaves. Strange birds called from the treetops, and the sound of running water echoed from somewhere deep inside. He knew he was close. The small Mayan village welcomed him with caution. The people were kind, but their eyes carried old knowledge. They looked at him as if they already knew why he had come. Ravi bowed his head and greeted them with respect. He did not speak much of treasure or adventure. Instead, he asked about the forest, the rivers, and the temples hidden within the green walls of vines and trees. That night, the elders gathered around a fire in the center of the village. Their faces were lined with age, but their voices were steady. One elder, an old man named Tico, spoke first. He told Ravi of the River of Souls, a sacred waterway that only a few had seen. It was said to lie deep within the jungle, hidden from outsiders by spirits and shadows. The river was not like other rivers. Its waters glowed faintly at night, and those who touched it claimed to see visions of people long gone. Many have gone searching, Tico said, his voice quiet but firm. Some never returned. Others came back changed, speaking of voices in the water. This is not a place for greed. It is a place of memory, a place of power. Ravi listened carefully. His heart raced not with thoughts of gold, but with wonder. A river that carried memory. A treasure of knowledge. This was more than he had ever dreamed. He felt the urge to ask more questions, but he stopped himself. He had learned from his travels that wisdom came with patience. A young girl named Nia, no older than 17, sat near the fire as well. She was quiet, but her dark eyes were sharp. She studied Ravi with curiosity. Later, when the fire had burned low, she approached him. "You are not like the others who came," she said softly. "They spoke of riches. You speak of stories," Ravi smiled. "Gold can be stolen, but stories stay forever. I want to understand the river, not take from it." Her face brightened for a moment, then turned serious. "If you want to find it, you must be careful. The forest does not forgive those who walk without respect. My people fear the river, but I believe it holds truth. I will help you, but only if you promise to honor it." Ravi placed his hand on his chest. "I promise." The next morning, the village came alive with the sounds of daily life. Women carried baskets of maize, children chased each other, and men prepared tools for the fields. Ravi watched with quiet admiration. This was not just a village. It was a living memory of a culture that had guarded its secrets for centuries. He spent the day exploring the temple ruins at the edge of the village. The stones were covered in moss, but carvings still shone through the green. He traced the lines with his fingers. Jaguars, serpents, and rivers carved with careful hands long ago. Something about the drawing stirred his thoughts. The serpents were shown swimming through water, yet above them were stars. What could it mean? That evening, Ravi sat again with Nia. Together, they studied the carvings. She explained the old symbols, telling him which ones spoke of gods and which of nature. When Ravi pointed at the stars carved above the river, she grew quiet. "My grandmother once said the sky tells the way," Nia whispered. "Maybe the stars guide us to the hidden waters." Ravi's mind raced. Could the constellations be a map? If so, the river was not only real, but placed in the very order of the heavens. He felt both excitement and caution. This was not a simple treasure hunt. This was a path written by time itself. That night, Ravi lay awake, listening to the jungle. The forest sang with the hum of insects, the distant calls of monkeys, and the rush of unseen rivers. His heart was restless. He had traveled across oceans to reach this place. But now the true journey was about to begin. Somewhere out there, hidden in the green depths, lay the River of Souls. The villagers warned him not to go. They said the spirits would test him, that the waters did not welcome all. But Ravi was not afraid. He had faced storms at sea, hunger on mountains, and loneliness on endless roads. What he sought now was not glory, but meaning. He thought of the old words of Tico. This is not a place for greed. It is a place of memory. Ravi closed his eyes and whispered to himself, "I will walk with respect. I will listen to the river." And with that promise, the first step of his journey had begun. The hidden river waited, silent and patient, carrying its secrets beneath sacred waters. The next morning, Ravi woke to the sound of drums echoing through the village. The sun had just risen, painting the forest in soft gold. He stepped outside the small hut where he had rested, and he saw children running, women preparing food, and men readying tools for the day. Life moved with rhythm, steady and calm, but Ravi's mind was not calm at all. His thoughts kept returning to the carvings on the temple wall and the stars above them. He walked back to the temple ruins after breakfast, this time with Nia by his side. She carried a clay jar of water and a small cloth bag. Inside were herbs, dried fruit, and a stone charm shaped like a bird. She explained it was for protection. "The forest is alive," she said. "We must honor it with every step." Ravi nodded, grateful for her guidance. As they reached the wall, he studied the carvings again. The serpents winding through the river, the stars glittering above, and the strange patterns that looked almost like paths. Nia traced her finger along one of the carvings. "This one," she whispered. "It shows the 3 stars that stand together in the sky. At night they rise in the east. The old people say they are a bridge." Ravi's eyes lit up. "A bridge of stars? Yes, I saw them last night. They form a line pointing across the sky." They decided to wait until evening to test their theory. All day Ravi helped in the village, carrying wood, gathering fruit, and listening to the people. He did not want them to see him as an intruder. He wanted to be a friend. The villagers watched him with caution at first, but slowly they began to smile when he passed. When the sun fell, Nia led Ravi to a small hill just outside the village. The forest opened slightly and the night sky spread wide above them. Stars filled the heavens, countless and bright. Nia pointed upward. "There, the 3 stars." Ravi followed her finger and saw them shining like lanterns in a row. He remembered the carvings and realized the line of stars stretched in the same direction as the serpent carvings. He took a deep breath. It is not only decoration, it is a map. The river lies where the stars guide us. Nia's face glowed with excitement but also fear. Many fear to follow the map. They say the river is protected by shadows. If we go, we must go with pure hearts. Ravi looked at her seriously. "I am not here for gold or riches. I want to learn the truth. If you guide me, I will not break my promise." She studied his face, then nodded. "I will help you." They began to walk at night, using the stars as their guide. The forest was darker than Ravi had ever known. Trees stretched tall, their branches covering much of the sky, but here and there the stars broke through. Insects hummed around them, and strange animal calls echoed in the distance. Nia carried a small torch, its flame steady but weak against the vast night. Hours passed as they followed the star path. At times Ravi stumbled on roots or slipped on wet stones, but Nia moved with skill, knowing the ways of the forest. She taught him to listen to the sounds. The cry of a bird meant danger, the silence of frogs meant a predator nearby, the rush of water meant they were close to a stream. Ravi listened carefully, thankful for her wisdom. Finally, they reached a place where the trees parted, and the stars above shone brighter. A soft sound of running water reached their ears. Nia's torch flickered in the open air, and the 2 stood still, hearts beating fast. Before them lay a bend in the river, dark and wide. But something was strange. The water did not look black like normal rivers at night. Instead, faint glimmers of light moved across its surface, as if the river carried pieces of the sky within it. Ravi stepped closer, kneeling at the bank. The glowing ripples shimmered with gentle colors like silver and blue. "It is real," Ravi whispered, his voice full of wonder. "The river of souls." Nia stayed back, her eyes wide. "The stories say the river remembers. If you touch it, you may see things not meant for your eyes." Ravi looked at his reflection, broken by the soft waves. He wanted to touch, yet he respected her warning. He decided to wait. "Tomorrow," he said, "we will return in the light of day. Tonight we have found the path." "That is enough." They sat near the river for a while, listening to its song. Ravi felt a deep peace wash over him. The water seemed alive, carrying voices he could not yet hear but knew were there. It was as if the river was waiting for him. When they finally walked back toward the village, the stars above guided their steps. Ravi felt a bond growing, not only with Nia, but with the land itself. The map of stars had led them true, and the sacred waters had revealed themselves. The journey was only beginning, but Ravi knew one thing clearly. This was not a search for treasure in the way others imagined. This was a journey of the soul, and the river had chosen to show itself. The sun rose slowly over the forest, casting golden light through the thick green leaves. Ravi woke early, his heart still filled with wonder from the night before. He remembered the glowing river, the way it shimmered under the stars like liquid light. He had not touched it, but the memory of its beauty stayed with him. Nia arrived at his hut with a calm but serious face. She carried a basket of fruit and maize bread. As they ate, she spoke softly. "The elders will not be happy if they learn we went to the river. They fear it. They say outsiders must not go near." Ravi nodded. "I understand. I do not wish to bring trouble. But the river called to me. I cannot forget what I saw." Nia's eyes softened. She too had felt something strange in the presence of the glowing waters. It was not only fear. It was something deeper, a sense that the river was alive. "Then today we return," she said. "But we must go with respect. We will not take. We will only listen." The two prepared carefully. Nia brought a small pouch of cornmeal, which her people used as an offering to the spirits. Ravi carried only a simple knife and a small notebook, where he drew the carvings he had seen on the temple wall. Together they left the village quietly, following the forest path once more. The jungle was alive with sound. Birds cried from high branches, monkeys leapt across the treetops, and insects hummed in waves. The air was thick and heavy, carrying the smell of damp earth and wildflowers. Ravi felt the energy of the forest pressing on him from all sides, as if the trees themselves were watching. After hours of walking, they reached the same bend of the river. In the light of day, it looked calm and ordinary at first, a wide stream with dark water and gentle ripples. But as the sun rose higher, Ravi noticed faint glimmers beneath the surface. It was as if threads of silver moved slowly in the water, hiding just below the surface. Nia stepped forward, scattering the cornmeal across the river as she whispered words in her native tongue. Ravi did not understand the language, but he felt the weight of her prayer. The offering floated on the surface for a moment before sinking slowly. The river seemed to stir, its ripples spreading out in circles that grew larger and larger. Ravi knelt by the bank, dipping his hand into the water. The moment his fingers touched the surface, a chill ran up his arm. The water was not cold like normal streams. It was different, alive. His vision blurred, and for a moment he saw something. Shapes of people, shadows moving in the current. He pulled his hand back in surprise, his breath quick. "What did you see?" Nia asked, her eyes wide. "I am not sure," Ravi whispered. "I saw faces. People walking, but not in this world. As if the river carries their memory." Nia shivered. "The elders said it was the river of souls. Now I believe them." Ravi stood silently, staring at the moving water. His heart was racing, but not with fear. Instead, he felt awe. He understood now that this river was no ordinary place. It was a keeper of stories, of voices from long ago. He thought of the carvings on the temple wall, the serpent swimming beneath the stars. Could it be that this river was the bridge between the past and the present? They decided to follow the river upstream, hoping to find where the glowing water began. The path was difficult, filled with roots, rocks, and thorny plants. But the river guided them, its quiet sound always close. The deeper they went, the brighter the glimmers became. By midday, the river was shining clearly, as if carrying light within its depths. At one point, Ravi slipped on a stone and fell forward, his arm plunging into the water. This time, the vision was stronger. He saw a group of people standing by the river centuries ago. They wore Mayan clothes, their faces painted with symbols. They were not alone. Beside them stood tall figures unlike any human Ravi had ever seen. Their skin seemed to shine, and their eyes glowed like the river itself. The vision lasted only seconds, then vanished. Ravi pulled back, gasping for air. Nia rushed to his side. "What happened?" "I saw them," Ravi said, his voice trembling. "The Mayan people and others, visitors, they came here long ago. This river remembers them." Nia's face grew pale. "Then the treasure is not gold. It is the truth of what happened." They continued walking until they reached a wide pool where the river widened and slowed. The water here was clearer, almost glass-like. Ravi could see shapes moving deep below, not fish, but patterns of light. It was as if the river itself was trying to speak. They sat by the pool in silence, watching. Ravi wrote notes in his book, drawing what he had seen. Nia kept her eyes on the water, whispering prayers. Hours passed, but neither wanted to leave. They both felt that they were on the edge of something great, something that could change how they saw the world. As the sun began to set, Ravi turned to Nia. "This river is not only sacred to your people. It belongs to all of humanity. It holds stories that connect us to the stars." Nia looked at him seriously. Then we must guard it. If others come, they may not have your heart. They may seek only to take, Ravi nodded. He knew she was right. The river was not a treasure to be stolen. It was a truth to be protected. When they finally returned toward the village, Ravi's heart was full. He knew the journey was only beginning. The river had shown him just a glimpse of its secrets. The real treasure still waited, hidden beneath the sacred waters. The forest was still when Ravi and Nia returned to the glowing pool the next day. The air felt heavier than before, as if the trees themselves were guarding the place. The sound of birds was distant, and even the insects seemed quiet, leaving only the soft murmur of the sacred water. Ravi stood at the edge, his eyes on the shining ripples. "The river is hiding something," he said. "I felt it yesterday. It is not only memory. There is more below." Nia looked uneasy. "The elders say the water has no end. It goes deep into the earth, to places we are not meant to see. If we dive, we may not return." Ravi touched the small notebook he carried. "I have seen visions already. They showed me people and visitors from the stars. The truth is down there. If we do not try, we will never know." For a long time, Nia was silent. Then she tied her bird-shaped charm around her neck. "If you go, I will not let you go alone. We will face it together." The two prepared carefully. Ravi cut branches and tied them into markers to leave along the riverbank, so they would not lose their way back. Nia mixed herbs into a small pouch and tied it to her waist, a gift for the spirits of the water. Then as the sun climbed high, they stepped into the pool. The water was cool, smoother than any river Ravi had ever felt. As he swam deeper, the glow around them grew stronger. It was not sunlight. It came from the river itself, shining from below like stars trapped in liquid. At first they saw only rocks and sand. But soon as they swam near the bottom, Ravi's eyes caught the shape of something unnatural. A flat stone surface stretched wide, smoother than the riverbed around it. Strange carvings lined its edges, glowing faintly with the same light as the water. He motioned to Nia, and together they brushed away the sand. What they revealed was not a rock, but a massive stone gate. Its surface was carved with symbols unlike anything Ravi had ever seen. Some looked like Mayan markings, but others were unfamiliar, sharp and curved in ways human hands did not often carve. "This is not the work of only my people," Nia whispered when they surfaced to breathe. "These marks are not ours," Ravi nodded, his heart racing. "This is the meeting place." The visitors left it behind, a doorway beneath the river. They dove again, studying the gate more closely. At its center was a round symbol, shaped like the sun but filled with spirals. Ravi reached out with his hand. The moment his palm touched the spiral, the stone began to tremble. Light spilled out from the carvings, rushing like fire across the gate. The ground shook and the water around them swirled with energy. Startled, they swam upward, gasping for air as the pool roared below. Then slowly the sound faded. When they looked down again, the gate had opened. Beyond it lay a dark passage glowing faintly with blue light. "The river hid this for centuries," Ravi said, wonder in his voice. "It has been waiting." Nia's hands trembled as she held onto the riverbank. "Should we enter? What if it is a trap?" Ravi looked at her with steady eyes. "Every step has been a test. We were shown the stars, the carvings, the visions. I believe the river chose us to see this. If we do not go now, we may never get another chance." Her fear did not vanish, but she nodded. "Then we go together." They dove once more, slipping through the open gate. The passage inside was narrow at first, but the walls glowed softly, guiding their way. The water was strangely calm, as if holding them gently instead of pulling them down. After swimming for what felt like a long time, they emerged into a vast open space. Ravi's breath caught in his throat. It was a hidden chamber beneath the river, larger than any temple he had ever seen. The walls rose high, made of smooth stone that glimmered like crystal. Pillars carved with symbols stood in rows, and at the far end was a platform with steps leading upward. They swam to the steps and climbed out of the water, dripping and breathless. The air inside was warm and heavy, but it was air. Somehow this place beneath the river was not drowned. A ceiling of glowing stone lit the chamber like a soft sunrise. "This is not just a cave," Ravi said. "It is a hall. A hall built by hands that knew both earth and sky." Nia walked beside him, her fingers brushing against the glowing carvings on the pillars. "It feels alive," she whispered. As if the walls are listening, Ravi studied the platform. At its center was another spiral symbol carved into the floor. Around it were markings of stars, rivers, and strange shapes he could not name. He knelt and placed his hand on the spiral once more. The chamber answered. The pillars hummed and beams of light rose from the carvings. They formed shapes in the air, figures of people, Mayan leaders standing side by side with tall beings of light. The images moved like living memory, showing how the visitors came in ships that glided down from the stars. They spoke to the Mayan people, offering wisdom and tools of knowledge. Nia gasped. It is true. The stories of my ancestors. They were not alone. Ravi's heart pounded. This was the treasure the legend spoke of, not gold or jewels, but a hidden library of memory. The River of Souls had guarded it for centuries, waiting for the right moment to reveal its secret. As the vision faded, Ravi and Nia stood in silence. They had found the gate. They had entered the hall. But deep inside, Ravi knew this was only the beginning. The river had shown them its doorway. Now it would test them with its truth. Ravi and Nia stood in silence, their eyes wide as the last image faded from the glowing pillars. The chamber grew quiet again, the only sound their breath echoing softly off the smooth stone walls. The vision they had witnessed still hung in their minds, Mayan leaders meeting tall beings of light, the river serving as their bridge. Ravi stepped forward onto the platform. His boots echoed softly on the stone floor. This place is not a tomb, he said slowly. It is a memory left behind. A place to keep knowledge safe. Nia followed him, her fingers brushing along the glowing carvings. The elders always told us the river was sacred. Now I understand why. It holds the truth of our people. It holds the voices of the visitors. They climbed the steps leading higher into the chamber. At the top stood a circle of tall crystal pillars, each as wide as a tree trunk. The crystals glowed with soft light, shifting in color from silver to blue to gold. The air around them hummed faintly, like the low sound of distant drums. Ravi approached the nearest pillar and placed his hand against its surface. The moment he touched it, the crystal lit brighter, and a wave of images flooded the space between the pillars. This time it was clearer than before. They saw great ships hovering above the forest, their shapes smooth and shining like rivers of light. They saw Mayan builders working side by side with the visitors, carving temples and raising stones in patterns that mirrored the stars. The vision shifted. The visitors handed something to the Mayan leaders, a glowing sphere clear like water but filled with moving light. Ravi and Nia watched as the leaders placed the sphere inside the chamber, locking it within the circle of crystals. The image faded, and the pillar grew dim again. Ravi stepped back, his heart pounding. The treasure. It must be here. The sphere is still inside this chamber. Nia looked around with awe and fear. If it is here, why has no one found it before us? Because the river chose to hide it, Ravi said. It only opened the gate when we touched it. Perhaps it waits for those who come with respect. They circled the platform, studying the crystals. At the very center of the circle, a pedestal rose from the floor. Upon it rested the sphere from the vision. It glowed faintly, like a heart still beating after centuries. The two approached slowly. The air around the sphere felt warm, filled with energy that made their skin tingle. Ravi reached out, then paused. This is no simple object. It holds memory. It may hold all the knowledge of both the Mayans and the visitors, Nia nodded. We must be careful. It could bless us, or it could destroy us if we are not ready. Ravi lowered his hand, deciding not to touch it yet. Instead, he sat on the stone floor and closed his eyes. If this is a library of souls, then we must first listen. We cannot take without asking. Nia sat beside him. Together they closed their eyes, breathing deeply. The chamber responded. The hum of the crystals grew louder and faint voices filled the air. They were not frightening. They were gentle, like whispers carried by the wind. The voices spoke in a language Ravi did not know, yet he felt their meaning inside his heart. They spoke of unity, of sharing knowledge, of guiding without ruling. When Ravi opened his eyes again, he saw Nia's face glowing in the crystal light. She was smiling through tears. They wanted us to protect this. That is why it was hidden. They gave it to my people to guard, not to use for greed. Ravi nodded. And now we have found it. The river trusted us, but we must prove we are worthy. As if answering his words, the chamber shifted again. The floor beneath the pedestal lit up with a spiral of symbols. The glow spread outward, connecting all the crystals. The humming grew into a deep tone that shook the air. The sphere brightened, sending rays of light across the chamber. Suddenly, images surrounded them again. But these were not of the past. They were of trials, visions of greed, war, and betrayal. Ravi saw himself reaching for gold, his face twisted with desire. He saw Nia walking away from him, her eyes filled with mistrust. He gasped, shaking his head. "These are not real. They are tests." Nia clutched his arm, her voice steady. "We must not believe them. The river is testing our hearts. If we give in to fear or greed, we fail." Ravi breathed deeply, closing his eyes against the false images. He thought of the promise he had made to her on the first night. He thought of the words of the elder Tico. "This is not a place for greed. It is a place of memory." Holding on to those words, he let the visions pass. Slowly, the illusions faded. The light softened and the chamber grew calm once more. The sphere still glowed on its pedestal, but now its light was steady, no longer hidden. Ravi and Nia stood together, side by side. They had faced the trial and remained true. The chamber had shown them both its warning and its trust. The treasure was before them, waiting to be carried into the world above. Nia placed her hand gently on the sphere. It pulsed with warmth but did not reject her. She turned to Ravi with a small smile. "It accepts us." Ravi nodded, his eyes shining with wonder. "Then the river has given us its gift. We must return to the village. The elders must see this." As they lifted the glowing sphere together, the crystals hummed in harmony, as if blessing their choice. The Chamber of Light had kept its secret safe for centuries. Now the river had decided it was time for its story to rise again. Ravi and Nia held the glowing sphere together, their hands steady but their hearts racing. The chamber was silent now except for the soft hum of the crystals. Yet they both felt it, something was not finished. The treasure had revealed itself, but the river of souls would not let them leave without one final test. As they stepped down from the pedestal, the ground trembled beneath their feet. The circle of crystals lit up again, brighter than before. A beam of light shot upward, painting the roof of the chamber with symbols of the stars. The air thickened, heavy with unseen energy. Nia gripped Ravi's arm. "It is not letting us go. We are not done." Ravi nodded. His voice was calm, though inside his chest his heart beat like a drum. "The river wants us to prove our truth. We must face it, or we cannot leave with this gift." The crystals shifted, forming a barrier of light that surrounded them. Then, one by one, the glowing surfaces came alive with moving images. Ravi saw himself again, but this time the vision was sharper. He stood before a great hall, holding the sphere high while men and women bowed before him. He was a ruler, powerful and proud, his voice loud as he commanded others. Nia saw herself in another vision. She walked through her village carrying the sphere. The people followed her, their eyes filled with fear and anger. They accused her of betrayal, of stealing the gift for her own gain. She dropped to her knees in the vision, her heart heavy with shame. The images circled them like fire. Ravi clenched his fists. "They want to show us what could happen if we let pride or fear rule us," Nia whispered, her eyes trembling with tears. "If I bring this to the village, will they believe me? Or will they call me a liar?" Ravi turned to her, placing his hand over hers on the sphere. "You are not a liar. You are the bridge between your people and this treasure. Without you, I could never have come this far. You carry truth in your heart. That is what matters." Her breath steadied at his words. She nodded slowly. "And you. If you take this gift to your world, people may use it for greed. You must not let them. You must protect it." The chamber seemed to hear them. The illusions grew brighter, harsher. Ravi now saw men with machines digging into the forest, destroying the river in their hunger for wealth. He saw leaders fighting over the sphere, using it as a weapon. His stomach twisted with fear. "No," he said firmly, raising his voice. "This will not be its fate. We will not let the memory of the river be turned into greed. We came with respect and we will return with respect." Nia lifted the sphere high, her voice clear and strong. "We promise to guard this gift as our ancestors did. We will not take it for power. We will share its truth. We will carry its light, not its shadow." At her words, the chamber changed. The harsh illusions dissolved like smoke. The crystals softened to a gentle glow. The barrier of light around them faded. Above, the star symbols on the ceiling formed into one great circle, shining like the sun. The humming deepened, and for a moment the chamber filled with voices, not frightening, but calm and steady. Ravi and Nia could not understand the words, yet they felt the meaning in their hearts. It was a blessing. The river accepted their truth. Slowly the pedestal sank into the floor, leaving only smooth stone where it had once stood. The sphere remained in their hands, but now its glow was gentler, more natural, like a living flame instead of a hidden secret. Ravi smiled faintly. The trial is complete. It trusts us now. Nia exhaled deeply, her body relaxing for the first time since they entered the chamber. We faced our fears and we passed. The river is with us. They turned toward the carved doorway where they had first entered. The golden light that had guided them in was gone, but a new light shone faintly along the passage. It led outward, back to the river. Step by step they followed it, carrying the sphere together. The silence of the chamber remained behind them, but in that silence was peace, not threat. When they reached the pool of water, the sphere pulsed in their hands. Its glow reflected on the surface, making the water shine like liquid silver. Ravi glanced at Nia. Shall we return it to the village now? Nia looked down at the sphere, then back at him. Yes, but not as owners. We are only guardians. The people must decide how it will be honored. Together, they waded into the water. As they moved, the carvings on the walls lit one last time, as though the chamber was saying farewell. The current lifted gently, carrying them toward the tunnel that would lead them out. Ravi and Nia held the sphere close to their chests, feeling its warmth. They had passed the trial of truth. The treasure no longer belonged to the river alone. It belonged to all who would honor it with respect, and as the water carried them upward, they knew their greatest challenge still waited above. For the world beyond the sacred chamber might not understand the gift as they did. The river had given them light. Now they must carry it into the hands of men. Ravi and Nia emerged from the hidden passage beneath the river, carrying the glowing sphere carefully between them. The sunlight hit the water, making it sparkle like silver. The pool that had seemed ordinary by day now shimmered with the memory of the chamber below. The river seemed to acknowledge their passage, its gentle ripples reflecting their faces. Nia stepped onto the riverbank first, holding the sphere close. We have done what the river asked. We passed the trial, she said softly. Her voice held relief but also a sense of responsibility. Now it is up to us to protect it, Ravi followed, brushing wet leaves from his hair. He looked at the village in the distance, feeling the weight of their task. The elders must see this, he said. They are the guardians of this land. They must decide how the river's gift will be honored. As they walked, the forest seemed alive around them. Birds called from the trees and a soft wind stirred the leaves. It felt as though the river itself guided their steps. Every now and then a fish jumped from the water, sparkling in sunlight, as if celebrating their safe return. When they reached the village, the elders were waiting. Their faces were serious, but curiosity and respect showed in their eyes. Tico, the eldest, stepped forward. You have returned, he said, his voice calm. And you carry something from the river? Ravi and Nia placed the sphere on a woven mat before the elders. The glow from it bathed the faces of all present in soft light. For a long moment there was silence. Then Tico reached out and touched the sphere gently. His eyes widened as he felt the warmth and the memories it held. The river of souls has chosen well, he said slowly. This gift is not for wealth. It is not for power. It is a memory of our people, of our history, and of those who came from the stars. It is to guide us, not to rule us, Ravi nodded. We understood that in the chamber. It showed us the consequences of greed, of fear, and of pride. That is why we came together. We passed the trial. Another elder, a woman named Luma, spoke. You have proven yourselves worthy. The river's gift is now in our care. But remember, this knowledge must be shared with respect. Not all who seek it will understand its purpose. Nia looked at the glowing sphere. We will guard it. We will help your people honor it. But we also know it has a story for others, for humanity. The river wants its truth to be known, but only in the right way. Tico smiled faintly. Then you must decide how it will be shared. The river has given it to us, but it asks for wisdom in return. The villagers gathered around, their eyes wide with wonder. Children whispered to each other, pointing at the light that seemed alive. The adults nodded silently, understanding that this was more than a treasure. It was a link to their past and a guide for the future. Ravi felt a calm settle over him. He thought of all the steps that had led them here. The stars, the carvings, the visions, and the trial of truth. Every choice had mattered. Every moment had tested them. And now, holding the sphere in the soft light of the village, he understood the greatest lesson of all. The treasure was never gold or riches. It was knowledge, memory, and the trust of those who came before. The River of Souls had waited for centuries for someone to honor its gift. That gift was now safe in hands that would respect it. Nia spoke softly to Ravi. The river will continue to flow, carrying its memories. But now humans can listen without fear. We have done what it asked, Ravi smiled, and we will continue to protect it. The river has trusted us. We cannot let it down. Tico placed a hand on the sphere. The River of Souls is alive, and it has accepted you both. Its memories will guide us, but it also guides humanity. You are part of its story now. The village celebrated quietly, not with noise, but with respect. They sang old songs and offered food to the river. Ravi and Nia watched as the water glimmered, reflecting the light of the sphere. The river seemed to pulse as if it was alive with joy. Ravi held Nia's hand. We have found the treasure, he said, but it was never for us alone. It belongs to everyone who will honor it. Nia nodded, smiling. And we will make sure it is never forgotten. The river's story will continue, guiding those who listen. As the sun set, the River of Souls glowed softly in the distance. Its waters carried the memories of the past, the wisdom of the visitors, and the promise of the future. Ravi and Nia stood together, guardians of a treasure greater than any wealth, a gift of light and truth beneath sacred waters. The journey had ended, but the story of the river would flow forever.